We are. So, welcome to the July 2019 edition of Heritage and History with Maureen Taylor and
Amy Johnson Crow.
And we hope you join us. It's a special time and a special day till we get our schedules coordinated again.
Holidays in there. So
yeah, we do have a holiday in there. We have 4th of July. And I don't know about you, Amy, but it's a pretty big deal for my family because I grew up in a town with the oldest 4th of July parade in the country.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
It is. It is. Everyone I know says, "Are you going to the parade? Are you going to the parade?" I'm like, not this year, because you have to park like miles away and then walk. And some years it's been so hot, you feel like you're just going to die.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun.
No.
The last few years have been pretty quiet for us over the 4th. It used to be a really big deal because we used to have our family vacation over the 4th. And so it was always it was always a big cookout at the lake. And then we'd go into town for the fireworks. And that was always a big deal. But since then, we've changed our vacation schedule and whatnot. So I'm looking forward on Thursday to getting a great big glass of iced tea, a good book, and just kicking it back in the lounge chair.
What a dream.
Yeah.
It's a dream.
Yeah, I know, right?
My goodness. I'll be cooking.
I'm crossing my fingers that that's what I get to do.
I'll be cooking.
Aw.
Yeah. Hopefully the bees won't invite themselves to the picnic this year.
Yeah, well, that's always an issue.
So Amy and I actually saw each other last week in passing.
We did.
Was it last week or the week before?
It was the week before.
Feels like a blur. And we were both at the American Library Association meeting.
Yeah, that was good. We were both there Friday for the Genealogy Librarians pre-conference.
That's right.
Always good to hang with our library peeps.
Yes, indeed. And then we went to the exhibit hall, which is, oh, look at this, Deborah, who never disappoints.
Hi, Deborah.
Even though I'm in the UK, my sister and I host a 4th of July BBQ for friends and family every year, usually on the Sunday nearest. Oh,
fun.
It's so nice, but it's so odd that you would do that since 4th of July commemorates our freedom, our Declaration of Independence.
Or maybe she's celebrating it as Good Riddance Day.
Yeah, Good Riddance Day, right?
Pesky colonists.
Right, exactly. Exactly, but that's very sweet.
It is. Yeah, so the American Library Association, I never heard any figures for this year's conference, but usually annual gets anywhere from like 14 to 20,000 people. So it's just a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But I have to say that it was an amazing experience to go to the exhibit hall and see the exhibit hall at the American Library Association versus other conferences that I've been to, like the genealogy conferences, because it was massive.
Yeah.
Just massive.
If you think that the exhibit hall at Roots Tech is big, and it is big, the one at ALA annual is at least, what would you say, at least twice the size?
Oh, easily twice the size.
Yeah, it's huge. Kind of as a side note, I think that some genealogy conference planners and whatnot would benefit, especially some of the smaller conferences. I'm not saying this for Roots Tech because they have a real good handle on this, but I think that some of the other conferences might do well to go to some events outside of genealogy and pick up some ideas to see what other types of events are doing, because there are some cool things that ALA does. And I know that you went on Friday night. They had a special Friday night preview in the exhibit hall. And that could be something. Now, Roots Tech does that, that they have a couple of hours, like the night before the conference really gets started, to go in and go through the exhibit hall.
Yes. Yes. And it was, I'm trying to delete a comment on our page. I had to report it. Excuse me.
The trolls, they're so much fun.
The trolls are so much fun. Yes. It's the second time for us, Amy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like when you publish a book, they say that you're not truly an author until you get a 1-star review.
Right.
Are you really doing something on live video if, until you have the troll? So we've made it.
We have definitely made it. Yeah. So let me insert another comment from Deborah, and now we've gone to delay on my side of the video. So it's just fabulous. Deborah defends her 4th of July party by saying that she has Rev War ancestors, that her father was American. Okay. All right, we'll take that, because
I still kind of liked it as Good Riddance Day.
Right. Well, one of our other regular listeners, Julie, was like, maybe she celebrates it as Happy Treason Day.
Happy Treason Day. Yeah.
You could do that.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, one of the most amazing things about the exhibit hall was, well, it was mobbed, of course, but the publishing companies were giving out books.
Yes, they were.
Advanced reading copies of some of their books. I mean, I saw librarians with suitcases to stock up, to bring things home to their libraries.
That's actually how some small libraries really get their acquisition budget to stretch, is that they'll send a couple of people to ALA and it's like, get every single book that you can.
Wow.
So I did my bit to help out authors and get advanced reading copies. I picked up a couple of good books. These were actually both by the same publisher. Let's see who this is.
Which publisher, since I missed that booth?
Yeah, it was actually a booth. It was towards the front, but it was like all the way down, like in the 3200s. This is, I'm going to horribly mispronounce this. Regnery History.
Oh, I missed them completely.
Regnery? I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyway, the two books I picked up. First is Star Spangled Scandal. And the subtitle is Sex, Murder, and the Trial That Changed America. It was in 1859, and a congressman killed a man who he suspected of trying to seduce his wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so when the trial came about, it was the first big trial that had happened since most of America at that time was connected by telegraph.
Oh.
So the reporters, they're sending out these telegraphs. I mean, literally, this is the origination of news over the wire. So this was the first trial that really got real-time nationwide coverage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm excited to read that. And then the other one I got from the same publisher is called Soaring to Glory. And it's a Tuskegee Airmen's firsthand account of World War II. So again, that's
wow.
And I forget which one of these was going to be coming out in just a couple of weeks. The other one isn't coming out officially till like October, and I don't remember which one was which. But I'm very excited to read both of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not see anything. I did have conversations with a couple of publishing companies that I said, oh, I have your book on my Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did pick up a couple of fiction titles that I saw that I might want to read. But, I'm not going to pick up just every book that's for free, because I don't really have a place to put it.
So many books, so little time.
So exactly. I'm reading currently 4 at the same time. Yeah, it's mind-boggling that I could actually do that. But I have one in like every room. So what are we saying? We have
So
We have Deborah. We have a lot of people who say they really like going to the conferences and going to the exhibit halls.
Mm-hmm.
So the Family Tree Live event that happened in London for the first time in April had a roundtable workshop selection, 45-minute discussion tables for 10 people led by an expert, was very successful. They do that at the regional conference. And Deborah, how do I keep track of all those books? I don't know. I just do. I've been doing it since I was a kid. It's a bad habit. Definitely a bad habit.
I'm more of a one book at a time person.
You know, I've got 4 going right now. There's one I'm like.
I shouldn't say that I'm one book at a time. I'm one nonfiction and one fiction book at a time. So
I've done that. Yeah. I have that going on right now.
But I can't do multiple fiction books at once.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. I have a hardcover book, and then I have the one on my Kindle because I didn't want to travel with a hardcover book.
Right.
So now I've got 2 of them, and I'm halfway through both of them. We have Tiara with us for the first time, if I pronounced your name right, Tiara.
Hey, Tiara.
She loves visiting the variety of different exhibit halls at the conferences available in the genealogy world. I'll have to add ALA to my site. I picked up did you pick up did they have any left by the time you got there?
No.
My Library of Congress trivet.
Nice. No,
yeah.
I didn't get one of those.
Yeah. And I did talk for a long time with the woman who's now in charge of the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress.
Oh, good.
And that was interesting because I have a cousin who his mother served in World War II and in the Pacific.
Ooh.
And he has all of her stuff. Like she created scrapbooks of all of her time in basic training and scrapbooks of what they did when she was in the Pacific. And it's really fabulous. And so I'm going to try to get him. He doesn't know what to do with it all. And I'm going to try to get him to donate it to the Veterans History Project.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Plus, you and I were at the genealogy day all day.
Yes, we were.
And because I spoke.
You spoke there.
I spoke there. I'm trying to get this comment away, and it won't go away. It's disappeared. Here we go. And we heard the most amazing luncheon lecture person.
Andrew Carroll.
Andrew Carroll. If you ever have an opportunity to hear Andrew Carroll speak, do you want to talk about what he did?
Yeah, Andrew Carroll is he started as a journalist and kind of fell into what he's doing now, which he's the director for I think it's the Center for American War Letters. And basically they are trying to collect letters from and to soldiers and sailors across all time periods, all wars. So at this center, they have them all the way back from letters from the Revolution all the way through emails that are sent, from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Here, I'm going to share the link.
Oh, good.
Chrome tab. I don't know if you can see that or not. The Center for American War Letters. Tells you a little bit about them. They are actively collecting letters. And it was incredibly moving. I mean, he must have given this presentation hundreds of times. Oh, of course, I didn't push it to the broadcast. There you go. Let's make us small and it big.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's Center for American War Letters. If you just search it, you'll find it. But I mean, he must have given it hundreds of times, and yet he was quite emotional in talking about some of these letters.
Yeah. His story about General Pershing.
Yes.
And his family. I won't tell any more than that because I know that he has a book about that, and it's definitely worth exploring what happened with General Pershing's family.
Heartbreaking.
Absolutely heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
So he said that, and I think you and I both see this, Maureen, that the things that we have in our own lives, we kind of discount. We don't see them as having any historical value because, it's stuff that we've created or we've received. And, we just have ordinary lives. How valuable can this letter be, or how valuable can this journal be in terms of history?
Well,
And his point being that, we are all part of a continuum, and the things that we're writing about today, the things that those soldiers were writing back then, it's telling their experience, pretty much in real time, which gives us that sort of unfiltered view of what was going on. But also, and I think we see this in our genealogy research, the commonality of experience. A soldier away at war, whether it was the Civil War or whether it's, the war in Afghanistan, soldiers are away from their loved ones. They're
yeah.
missing. A lot of them are away from home for the first time. And what does that do? What is it like to truly fear for your life? What is it like to see these things that are going on at home and you're not a part of it? And just the commonality of that experience across decades, across centuries is fascinating.
Right. We tend to take for granted the things that we've inherited. We might not understand the true significance of them. And I know I see this sometimes with family photos that people have me look at.
Exactly.
That they think it's just an ordinary family photo, and yet it's pretty spectacular for the information that it contains. We have some comments here to keep us going. Mark Rachel's was talking about some scandal in his family that changed his family, and here it is the scandal changed my family history. They became outlaws and went to Indian territory and then changed their last name. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. And then Deborah has a comment about the decluttering movement. Yes, things we might not think are valuable today will be priceless to family in the future. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you have to clean out your collection, but you have to be mindful of what that might mean to someone later. And then Julie said she just glanced at the Center for War Letters website, and the stories are very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. Right? We were stunned with some of the tales.
It's pretty incredible.
And they're collecting emails too.
Yeah. And because that's how we're communicating today. Typically we're not sitting down and writing letters, especially if you have someone off at war. They don't, they're not going to take the time to, find some paper, find a pen, find a stamp and mail it off. They have the ability to email. What I worry about from an archival standpoint are the ways that we're communicating that's even more ephemeral, like texting. I've got more emails in my email program that I really care to admit to, but text, it's like, okay, I don't really need that one, just delete. And that's a whole chronicle of things that we're going to be losing. And I think that that's going to be a real challenge.
I think it will be. And I think one of the interesting things to me about reading old letters is if you read a letter from the 17th century and you read one from the 18th century and the one from the 19th century and one in the early 20th century, while the theme may be the same, mm-hmm. the way our ancestors, I love the development of language. Yes. So the way our ancestors stated their opinions and wrote their sentences mm-hmm. differs. And the language that we use differs.
Right. Well, it's like looking at the letters between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr.
Right.
As they were really getting ramped up right before the duel. And while we look at it, it's like, oh, that's so quaint. For the time period, it was scathing.
Scathing.
I mean, it was just like, oh, he did not just say that.
Right.
It was just, it's like you say, the development of the language is just fascinating.
It's fascinating. Yeah. If you look at old letters, actually, I have a couple right here. There's just so, I never buy letters because I'm too busy. Right. I'm so busy. Well, I bought these because in one of them, what does she say? All my earthly comforts are fled. I am willing to bid this vain world adieu forever, for it is all vanity to me.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
Oh, it was Ruth Woods that did betray me. But I am innocent, and I think the time will come when she will be sorry for what she has said, for she will find that I have many worthy friends, because she made mischief between me and my beloved.
She made mischief.
She made mischief. Isn't it great? It's
that
just
is
great.
Awesome. When was that?
This one is undated. Oh. I'm still looking for a date. Yeah.
Well,
but they're great. It's just so great.
Okay. Speaking of letters.
Yes.
So, and I think I told you about this. So a few weeks ago, I was over at my parents' and I was just getting ready to leave. And Mom drags me down to the basement and says, I have this box and it has some of your grandma's papers in it. Do you want it? Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Well, my daughter and I went through it. In fact, we did a Facebook Live. And in the bottom of this box was a stack of letters about like that. Letters between my grandparents when they were courting.
Oh.
Yeah. You talk about the development of language. They start out referring to each other as my dearest friend. And then seeing how their salutations change as their relationship deepened. It was like, oh, so
sweet.
I still have to go through and get all the letters flattened and get them in some archival sleeves and get everything taken care of. And then we digitize and then we transcribe them. So,
exactly.
And give copies to everyone.
Yeah. So here we have a funny one from Julie. The funniest letter she transcribed was a brother serving in the Civil War, warning his sister the soldier she thought was writing to her exclusively was also writing to many other girls back home. Scandalous.
The cad.
And if you feel the need, any of you out there feel the need to want to dip into manuscripts, the Library of Congress has a crowdsourcing thing going on where you can help them transcribe the letters in the collection or one particular collection that they're working on.
I think National Archives has something like that too.
Is it National Archives? I thought it was Library of Congress.
That's one of them.
Yeah. One of those.
The heat has affected my brain.
Yes. I have the air conditioner running in the background, but
I did too.
Hot in here.
It's ridiculous.
So I don't know what else we need to talk about. I've been dipping into my family history again, and right now I have a headache from it.
Oh,
I found my ancestor in a published genealogy. This is where you can go wrong. I accepted the genealogy. It was a reputable genealogy. And the other day I started, adding documents to my ancestry family tree that I found, thinking there was only one man with this name, and there are 3.
Oh.
And they're all born within a few years of each other.
Well, of course they are, because they did that just to annoy us.
Now I have a total headache, and I'm like, do I really have to go back to my great-great-grandmother's generation and redo that whole timeline and reconsider all the documents I put in it before I move forward? He was the only one that used the middle initial.
Well, that helps on some documents, but then what
Not
do you do
on
with
all.
the documents that they don't have a middle initial?
No. So I don't know how many Simeon A. Macumbers can there be? A lot.
You wouldn't think that many, but then I thought the same thing about George DeBolt. And
how many George DeBolts could there be?
How many George DeBolts could there be? Like, there's at least one in every single generation. So you have a whole bunch of cousins all named George DeBolt.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of them named Simeon Macomber, all living sort of in the same area. And I actually, as I started to go through the genealogy again, I'm like, I think he might have them mixed up.
Ooh. Well, think of it this way. Even if you do have to backtrack all the way to the...
It's just one generation.
Okay, so it's just one generation. Think of the case study you'll have.
I don't even know what to do with that. I write about pictures. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, what a case study this would make. Which Simeon is the right Simeon? And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. So
sure you do.
Nah, I probably do. It's been a long time though. Oh, yeah. We have more comments.
Woo.
Oops. In the 4th grade, Linda says, circa 1955, we were taught to write letters, date, person's name. Oh, yes, indeed. Address, salutation, setup of the letters, body, and closing. Then we mailed a letter to a relative of a friend, and it started her on a lifelong letter writing between my aunt and me.
Oh, do you still have the letters, Linda? That would be great if Linda still has.
Yes, that would be great. And then, here we go. Doesn't want to work today. I have, Lena says that she has 2 of her great aunt's diaries that I digitized that they kept when they traveled to Switzerland in 1923. When several of my cousins and myself traveled to Switzerland last fall, we used them as a guide for our travels. Long story, but in short, we were able to connect with them over time. I hope you took pictures everywhere they went and you put it all together in a book.
How cool is that?
That is so cool.
Oh, color me jealous.
Oh, Linda says she has some of the letters, but wishes she had them all.
Oh,
that'd be pretty sweet.
So neat. Well, it's just like we were talking about before, you know, being careful about what you declutter and what you minimize.
Yeah.
You know, that's not saying that you have to keep everything. I mean, even in, and I know that this is actually shocking to some people. I mean, and I don't mean that facetiously. Some people are truly shocked by this. They teach you in archive school that you cannot keep everything.
No, you cannot.
You can't.
You can't. You can't.
So it's learning.
Nor should you.
Nor should, yeah, because think of it this way. If you keep everything, well, 1, you've turned into a hoarder. And two, if you keep everything, how do other people know what's important and what's just clutter?
Right.
So
I have to confess that I have never been a letter writer. I write emails. Somehow it's easier for me to write an email than it is to sit down and write a letter. It could be that I have some deep-seated horrible trauma from my teachers in school who always told me I had the worst handwriting ever.
See, they obviously never saw my handwriting when I was younger, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, mine's only gotten worse. There are times when I can't read my own handwriting.
Oh, seriously, it's like, did I study to become a doctor? Because I should totally be writing prescriptions with this handwriting.
Exactly. So I've never been a big letter writer, but I enjoy getting them.
Yeah.
You know, it's great to get a note from someone that's a handwritten note. Mm-hmm. It's very special.
I used to send a ton of cards. I used to.
Anybody gets a card for me, it's a treasure. Just telling you that right now. Okay, anybody gets a handwritten note for me, frame it. I don't do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have had a lovely time this afternoon talking about family letters and just all the
all
things
sorts
that
of
come in.
treasures.
Yeah, all the things that come involved in what a letter stands for.
Yeah.
And our ancestors used to, I just have to put a photo thing in there. Our ancestors used to enclose photographs in their letters. And of course, there weren't any envelopes at one point in time. So you would fold your letter up and create a little packet and mail it off.
Ooh.
Yeah, there were no envelopes.
Yeah. So
a lot of people didn't use them.
So you just kind of did a little origami thing and.
Yeah. And then sent it off. Oh, look at this. We've got more comments before we go.
Ooh, yay.
Linda says her aunt used to write about family trips, birds, and nature.
Yeah.
Julie says that after her great-grandfather's sudden death, that she has letters from the bank to my great-grandmother regarding the probate, as well as the state of her daughter's marriage. They were concerned as the banker shared the daughter's husband had abandoned them and she was trying to survive on her own. Oh, poor thing. It's not an easy.
Oh
my goodness. We have a serious letter writer. She writes she's been writing letters for 30 plus years, and now she types everything, prints it out, and mails it.
There you go.
That's a very nice thing. Very, very nice.
And Maureen has a project in the comments.
I have a project in the comments?
No, another Maureen.
Oh, another Maureen. Oh, yes. She says, I am transcribing my father's letters that he wrote to his grandmother when he was in the service in World War II.
How awesome is that?
Did he come back?
I hope.
We need to know if he came back. We're hoping. There was that one letter that Andrew showed where the guy wrote about surviving some battle, and then there was a bullet hole in the letter.
Yeah, he had started to write this letter and talked about surviving some big battle and was telling, I don't know, his mom or his sister, I forget who he was writing to, if you hear about this battle, don't worry, I'm fine. And then he hadn't mailed it yet, but it was in his backpack and he got shot by a sniper. But he survived, didn't he?
I think he did.
I think he survived. But yeah, so you have this letter that he was waiting to mail home and it now has this big bullet hole in it.
Right. Well, Amy, people are leaving for they're wishing us a happy 4th of July, and we're going to wish you all a happy 4th of July.
Yes.
Amy, I will be thinking of you sitting with a book and a glass of iced tea.
That's my plan.
As I'm sweating over a stove, of which I think after we're done here, I'll be going to the grocery store.
Good plan.
All right. We will see you next month. We don't have a date yet.
I thought we did.
But we will. I'm looking at my calendar. Do you think we put it in here? Oh, we did.
We did. It's
August 6th.
Tuesday, August 6th.
At 1 o'clock
p.m. Eastern. So
I know. Amy and I have been taking classes on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Like she does things on Wednesdays and I do things every other Thursday. So it's been really mucking up our schedule.
So we're going for Tuesdays now. Yay.
We're going to try for Tuesdays, which isn't a bad day.
No, it's all right.
So thank you very much for joining all of us. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.